Good morning and welcome to our WRW News. Salute to veterans. Special. I'm Cindy. First of all, Mr. Darren, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us your name?
Hello, good morning. My name is Jason. I was a medic, I was a corpsman in the military, and I greatly appreciate you having me come in and do this with you guys today. It means a lot. Thank you.
What branch of the military you serve in and why did you choose?
Well, the branch that I ended up going into was the Navy, but with my job, it was pretty awesome because I was in the Navy and the Marine Corps. So I wore Marine Corps camis and scrubs because I was in the Navy and I was a medic. So I worked in a hospital and I worked with Marines. And what kind of influenced my decision in joining was my sister. My sister was in the military also. She was in the Navy and she was a military police officer. So I got to experience a little bit of that when I was living in San Diego and got to experience that life a little bit, and I kind of enjoyed it, so I decided to join.
How did you tell your family and friends that you were joining the military? What was hardest about that process?
So that's kind of a funny story. I really didn't tell anybody I was going until 2 days before I left. I was living in San Diego, so I came home where all my family was, and I went golfing one morning, and then in the afternoon I went to my cousin's house because it just so happened that she was having a housewarming party she had just moved into. And whenever I showed up, everybody noticed that I had my haircut really, really short, like a military haircut, and they were all trying to figure out, what did you do? What's going on? And that's when I told everybody, hey, I leave in 2 days and I'm going to the military. So everybody was kind of shocked and kind of sad because I didn't give them a warning.
Can you tell us a little bit about what boot camp is and what were some things you needed to do then?
Okay, so boot camp is not as bad as everybody thinks. I mean, some branches are all different, right? But if you go into boot camp with a well-prepared mindset and in good shape, you're going to get through any tough challenge that's thrown at you. So for me, my boot camp was not very hard. It was just a lot of just doing what you're told. There's no reason for you to ask questions. So if you're one of those persons who is told something and you always want to know, well, why? Don't really. I guess you have to break that habit before you go into the military. So for me, boot camp was not very challenging or hard. Just a lot of reading and a lot of doing what you're told, and that's it. Just taking orders, essentially, is all they want you to do. Take orders.
Where were you stationed?
Okay, I was stationed in after boot camp in my medical school I had to go to, which was in Chicago or Great Lakes, Illinois. It's north of Chicago. Then I went to North Carolina, and where I was actually stationed was Portsmouth, Virginia, which is in pretty much Virginia Beach. So that's clear on the East Coast, 3,600 miles away. So I was stationed in Portsmouth Naval Hospital, and I worked in the intensive care unit, and that was in Virginia. And then I was also stationed here in California in a terrible place called 29 Palms. It's a desert. There's nothing out there. So that's where I went to. I went to Virginia, and then I went to 29 Palms, California.
How long did you serve for?
I served for 5 years, from 2008 till 2013.
How did you stay in touch with family and friends while you were in the service?
The way I stayed in touch with a lot of my friends was during that time. That was when a lot of people were playing like video games and stuff. So I was lucky enough to be on the East Coast and have a little time difference there. So I would stay in contact with a lot of my friends through just playing video games. But with my family, I would just make random phone calls, or at that time it was Skype. We would use Skype on your phone, so it was just phone calls. But the person I contacted the most was my grandma. I even to this day I still talk to my grandma on a regular basis.
What was your main responsibility in the service?
My main responsibility was taking care of Marines and taking care of other service members. I was a corpsman, also a medic. I used to be referred to as Doc. So my main responsibility was take care of people. If somebody was sick, injured, hurt, I would come in and use my interventions and help somebody.
While you were serving, what did you miss most about civilian life?
The thing I missed most about civilian life would probably just be the fact that I was living in San Diego. And San Diego is an amazing place, so I really missed going to the beach a lot. I missed doing a lot of paddleboarding. So I definitely miss that a lot.
Did you make friends while serving?
Absolutely, I made friends, and a lot of those guys are still my friends. I actually spoke to one of them yesterday, and I keep in regular contact with a lot of the guys, and some of the guys that I deployed with. Yes, so those guys are not my friends; those are my brothers. We can rely on each other for a lot of things, and I've actually been to Georgia because I have a friend there. I've been to Alabama. I have a friend there. I've been to Texas, so I go a lot of places. So it's pretty amazing. I think I could travel from here to Florida, not have to stay in a hotel, and just stay at a friend's house. It's pretty awesome.
Are you still in contact with the people you served with?
Absolutely. Not all of them, but I am most definitely in contact with a lot of the ones that we spent a lot of time with, and we went through a lot of stuff together. So yeah, it's a brotherhood that's established, and when we get out, we still look for that. So I'm in contact with a lot of veterans now that I wasn't even in the military with. That we just have a similar thing in common. We're like brothers now.
Are you still involved with the military, and if so, how?
Okay, so yes, I am. What I do now is I help veterans. Because when a lot of veterans get out of the military, they have a lot of time, they have a hard time struggling, like, because we used to be in a certain mindset, but now we're civilians, so we don't know how to necessarily transition really well. So what I do now is I help veterans with that transition and just try to get them out of the house, give them a reason to get together. And like how you asked me earlier, do I still stay in contact with a lot of those veterans? What I do now is I try to give those veterans the same thing that I have now, where have a brother or somebody you served with or somebody that did serve that you stay in contact with. So what I do nowadays is just try to do stuff for the community and do stuff for my veterans and just try to get them in the house, whether it's through programs or hikes or events or paint nights or whatever it is I try to do to get veterans and their spouses out of the house.
What was one thing you found difficult from when you were first discharged?
The thing that I found difficult was, while I was in the military for 5 years, I always had a brother I could rely on, somebody that was always there for me, and I was always there for somebody. But whenever I got out of the military, I felt like I didn't have that anymore. I felt like I didn't relate to my family anymore. I felt like I didn't relate to any of my friends I went to school with anymore. So I was just trying to find that sense of camaraderie, that sense of belonging. Like, you always want to be with somebody that gets you and you understand each other. So that's my biggest thing, was I was trying to find somebody I could relate to.
What do you think is the best thing about being in the military?
The best thing about being in the military is that brotherhood and that camaraderie. You're gonna meet some people that you will never ever have the opportunity or experience to meet. So it's pretty awesome to be in there and experience something like that. Again, I have friends all over the country, and it's pretty awesome knowing that I have that.
In looking back, how has military served affected who you are now?
You learn how to be humble. You learn the right things and the wrong things, and I think a lot of things are instilled into you while you're in the military, and they carry over. So you learn how to be responsible. You learn how to take a responsibility for a lot of things. When something's given to you, you're taught to leave it better than you got it. So if you let me borrow your vacuum, I'm going to use your vacuum, and I'm going to clean your vacuum after I give it back to you. It's just a sense of responsibility.
As we are learning, Veterans Day is a holiday that we use to celebrate and honor veterans. What do you believe is the best way we can honor our veterans on Veterans Day?
If you see a veteran, just simply thank them. A lot of veterans they're not looking for that. So when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, thank you," I just say thank you for acknowledging it. But we all make this choice, so it's not like we're out looking for thank yous. But just acknowledge them, whether you look at them or smile at them, or you just wave to them, or you actually just say thank you. That's really it.
Mr. Duran, thank you again so much for taking the time to allow us to interview you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate you guys considering me for this. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a happy Veterans Day. Goodbye.
Bye.